Thanks for coming in. We have quite an audience today, and this has been a great talk given by Tens, not only here but also in besides Harrisburg, where I was there in person, and this talk was great. So I hope you enjoy this talk. Go off.
Thank you, Leon. So my name is Evan Isaac. People know me as 10splaya, but I think I'm going to dox myself because, it seems like everyone knows who I am at this point. I'm going to be talking today about how I was a college student at one point and became a penetration tester utilizing this application known as Discord. Now, before I get started with this presentation, I just want to put out a quick disclaimer that everything that I say is my opinion, and it's not, my employers or anything else that are paying me or anything like that. Just want to get that out of the way because I do like my job. So without further ado, I want everyone to take a moment and think of this one question. And this one question is, what makes you different? Now, this was a question that I heard for the first time a few years back in college, and I'm going to explain a bit more, but I do want to tell you a story. So while I'm telling you the story, make sure that you kind of think through some of the ideas of what makes you different, because at the end, we're going to start discussing how things make you different. So I'll get started and I'll go back a little bit, a few years to when I was in high school. So when I was in high school, I really enjoyed UX UI design. I wanted to become a web developer. I wanted to do front-end development. I really enjoyed the graphic design base of it. And when I did this, I didn't really take too much into consideration security. So, I was just freeballing stuff with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript because I didn't know much about cybersecurity at the time. I was only, 16 or so. And so when I got home one day from my high school and I try to log into my computer, I see that my computer isn't working. And I thought that was a bit weird, right? Why wouldn't a computer work? So I decided, maybe I need to just plug it in. I plug it in, but nothing happens. Well, maybe I need to take out the battery. So I take out the battery and still nothing happens. And I'm at a loss for words, right? My computer died. I lost all my stuff. I didn't back anything up. And this is going to turn into a problem. So once I got my new computer, I decided, you know what? I'm going to stop working on graphic design and I'm going to try to move on to something else. I'm going to try to see if there's another profession that I can take before I enter college. And as I'm researching different computer science or something related to computers, my mom barges into my room and she goes, "Evan, I have a great idea for you." And I go, "Yeah, what's that?" And she said, "Why don't you look into cybersecurity?" Now, cybersecurity at the time, I didn't know anything about. My mom knew a little bit about it, but she wanted for me to research it. So as I'm researching it, I really don't understand a lot of the terminology, right? So when I first researched it, the first thing that came up was a SOC analyst position. I didn't even know what a SOC was. I really didn't care what a SOC was. It sounded kind of boring to me. I really didn't want to do it. And as I went through some of these job searches, I realized I really don't know what I want to do in cybersecurity. I don't think it's going to be a good fit for me, right? You have threat hunter, you have reverse engineering, malware analysis, SOC analyst. You have all these different things, but nothing of the niche that I wanted to go into. And after doing some more research about cybersecurity, I stumbled upon penetration testing. And penetration testing did sound cool, so I decided to research a bit more about it. And once I realized that hacking was involved with penetration testing, I fell in love automatically. So I decided to buy a Udemy course to get my motivation up a little bit before I jump into college. And the one thing that I learned from the Udemy course is to never buy a Udemy course because it was awful. It didn't teach me a single thing. Not a single thing. It was pretty useless, to be completely honest with you. I don't recommend Udemy to anyone. It was a waste of about $80. So once I hit college, I thought, okay, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to start looking into, various different things with penetration testing. I want to be as advanced as possible. So I do just that. I start researching more. I find TryHackMe, I find Hack the Box, I find Over the Wire. But I realized before I jump in to anything, I need to understand the backbone of what penetration testing is all about. So when you look at penetration testing, right, the first thing that you think of is, oh my God, I need a hack. Well, a lot of people don't realize that penetration testing is not only hacking, it's really understanding the backbone. So do you know what Linux is? Do you know how to network? Do you know what subnets are? Do you know what VLANs are? Do you know how to communicate between two devices? Right? Once you know that stuff, then you can move on to the more advanced stuff. Okay, what kind of tooling can I use for enumeration or for scanning? So my first day has come, right, at college. I'm ready to go. I got my bag on. My mom tells me to take a picture in the mirror. Don't know why. Sounded weird. I took a picture anyway. And I went to my first period class. And when I walked into my class, I see all these new faces, right? This is my first time ever being alone, right? I've always, really depended on my parents. I never went to sleepaway camp, so I had no idea what homesickness felt like. And so I go to my first period class, I say hello to my professor, and I sit down. And a few minutes into the class, I start getting anxiety, and I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out, and I'm scared. And after about 30 minutes, I raised my hand and I said, "Professor, I need to leave." And the professor said, "All right, that's fine." So I left. I went back to my dorm, and I realized that was a really stupid thing for me to do. First impression is key, and I just ruined my first impression with my first ever professor in college. And homesickness is now getting the best of me. So I'm going to contact the professor and say, "Hey, I'm sorry for missing out." So I email over the professor, and I say, "Hey, professor, I'm sorry that I missed your class. Is there any work that needs to be done?" But instead of him getting angry at me for missing his class, he acknowledges it, and he expresses that he went through the exact same thing. And that not only did he go through the same thing, he has tips and tricks to help me and guide me through this homesickness that I'm going through. And at the end of the email, he asked, "Hey, want to come to my office every Tuesday? We'll talk about it. We'll get your mind off it, and you'll be good to go." So I set a meeting with him for every Tuesday, and I go to him for about a month or so. And after a while, I realize, all right, since I have a good connection with my professor, I think it's time to ask him a question regarding internships. Now, again, I really don't have any experience, right? I'm still learning the basics of Linux. So I tell my professor, I'm like, "Hey, I need an internship. I really don't know what to do. Can you assist me?" And he goes, "I can, but you're the one that's going to need to help yourself, right? I'm not going to give you the golden key to get an internship. That's your job. And what I want you to do is I want you to go out and I want you to make a difference. Do you make a difference? How can you make a difference? Be the difference." And that stuck with me, right? I didn't know what that meant, but it stuck with me for some weird reason. And I thought, all right, that's fine. I'm going to think of maybe a different strategy to become different in cybersecurity, even though, again, I really don't know what that means. So I go back to my room and I start Googling how to be different in cybersecurity. How do I be unique? What can I do on my resume to be unique? And there was nothing. And the stuff that there was, I realized that someone has already come up with those ideas. So at the end of the day, I'm just following someone else's footsteps. I'm not being unique at all. And that really bothered me. So I turned off my computer and decided, hey, maybe there's a different route that I could take. Let's brainstorm some things for being unique. A few days go by and nothing comes to mind. I still have a blank piece of paper sitting on my desk. And it's apparent that I really don't know what I can do to be unique. I mean, it's useless, right? I can't figure anything out. So I scratched the idea. Now, at the time, I was building up a Minecraft server. And that sounds silly, but I'll explain more in a little bit why this Minecraft server really kicked in. This Minecraft server, I was the main developer. I was the owner. I was the one that was trying to produce something so people can have fun on. And to do this, I created a Discord community for my Minecraft server. So let's say someone on my community needed assistance with something on the server. They will have no problem contacting me through Discord. And I told the same thing for my staff. I said, listen, if you need me, you can contact me over Discord because I do not have time to DM everyone over the Minecraft server. I have time, though, to look at Discord and quickly type something out for you. And it worked well, right? I was gaining up attraction, I was gaining a community, and I was helping people with their problems on my Discord server. Now, after a while I'm doing this development for my Minecraft server, it hits me like a truck that, oh my god, I can use this to my advantage, right? I can use Discord to my advantage. So I started to research, Discord servers for cybersecurity. And I saw a few here, a few there, but nothing that really impressed me all too much. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I can create my own Discord server. Maybe I can be unique by doing that. And so I did. Eventually, I created a Discord called Cybersecurity and Coding, and I gained my first 5 members in the span of a week. This was the happiest I've ever been to see 5 members on a Discord community. And when this happened, I started to talk to these people, and they would start asking me questions, and I would try to reply with the best answer that I could. So as they're asking me questions, I would go out and research the question. I would understand the question enough to give a perfect answer back. And this would go on for a couple months where it would be, 5, 10, 15 people asking questions and me just getting all this knowledge for free from people who are already in the field. And as I'm advertising this Discord community, 5 members turn into 10, and 10 turn into 25, 25 turn into 50, 50 turn into 250, so on and so forth until I hit about 700 to 800 members. And now I am a solo staff on my Discord community. What I didn't realize, though, was as I gained more members, the activity rate was going down significantly. So, when I had 5 members, all 5 were talking. When I had 10 members, only 6 out of the 10 were talking. When I had 25, only about 10 were talking, and so on and so forth. And you see the pattern. But when I go to 700 to 800, it drops way below the percentage to about 10 people talking or less. And I realized that wasn't a good fit for me. I wanted more experience. I wanted to learn more from people. I needed people to ask me questions. Sorry, I can ask them questions back. So I decided that I'm going to do some more research on Discord communities. I wanted to think about, hey, what can I do differently to spark engagement on my Discord? So I joined again a few Discord servers, none of which impress. And I stumbled upon a Discord server called Republic of Hackers. Now, Republic of Hackers is a great community with about 200 members at the time. And I would go on and I would start asking questions. And these people are professionals in the field. They know what they're talking about. And I thought, oh my god, this is a great time for me to start asking questions. So I did. After a while, I gained enough traction with the staff to message one of them and say, hey, how can I spark engagement on my Discord community? And he goes, I can't give you that because that's our secret, right? So I decided, you know what, maybe the next best thing was to forget about it and try to figure out my own sort of engagement. After a while, though, the staff messaged me back and say, hey, we do have a question for you. Would you like to merge with us? And at the time, I thought cybersecurity and coding was my baby, and I really didn't want to let it go. But I thought it was best for my education, plus for the server as a whole, to merge with Republic of Hackers. After the merge, Republic of Hackers skyrocketed from 200 members to about 700 members in a span of a week. And I thought this was incredible, right? All my members from cybersecurity and coding were slowly migrating over to Republic of Hackers, and the activity was skyrocketing on Republic of Hackers. I would go onto live streams. I would watch people hack. When I had a question, people would answer it no problem. When I had a question on stream, people would go back to their previous command and tell me what they're doing. And I thought this was great, right? I was gaining a ton of experience. And someone who was doing this a lot was Afine. This guy named Afine that was on the Discord. And he would go out and he would stream a few boxes each day. And I would learn a ton from him. At one point in time, Afine messages me and says, hey, do you want an internship? To that I said yes. And I accepted the internship after doing 3 rounds of interviews with the company. And eventually, I did obtain the internship. I did the 3.5 months, 4 months at the internship. And then internship ended. Now we're going to fast forward a little bit to my senior year of college, right? I'm going for my ECPPT exam in the summer, in August of 2022, and I pass. And on the Republic of Hackers Discord, I mentioned to everyone that, hey, I passed the ECPPT. And Leon was the one that messaged someone by the name of @BigDaddy, or David Chalas. And David would message me and he would say, hey, I want you to send me your resume. Now, at the time, I was a bit skeptical because David's username is @BigDaddy, and I don't really want to send my personal information, especially my resume, over to a guy with the username @BigDaddy. But I did anyway because I believed he was David Chalas after doing some OSINT on him. So after I sent it to him, a few days go by and he gets back to me saying that we have an interview. And we do this interview. Everything goes well. And David says, hey, I'm just letting you know you're going to get a call from the CEO within a few days. So be prepared. Now, I didn't know what to expect, but I said, okay. After that, I did an interview with the CEO and it went very well. And the CEO said, hey, Evan, do you want to have an internship as an offensive security intern and work with us at Echelon? To that, I said yes. And 4 months go by. Internship is almost over. So I now need a backup plan, right? I've been applying to a bunch of jobs, haven't heard back from anything. I still have the internship and I could message the CEO. And I do just that. So I message the CEO and I say, hey, I have a question for you. Do you by any chance have a full-time position for me? And he goes, I thought you'd never ask. So in February, I started a full-time position as an offensive security consultant at Echelon Risk and Cyber. Now, it would not be possible without the help of a Discord community like Raices or Republic of Hackers to grow my network, right? So that's what made me different. And I'm going to continue to bring that question up each time we talk about this because I think it's a very important trait to have when you're trying to find a position, especially in offensive security. You know, I was told at a relatively young start, when I was starting out in cybersecurity, I was told that penetration testing was going to be impossible for me to get as my first position, that I would be a SOC analyst, or I'd be working a help desk. And I thought, that's not good enough for me. I want to be an offensive security consultant. I want to be a penetration tester. And if that's what I want to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to have whatever it takes to become one. So that's my story. But everything comes with networking. And that's something that really people don't, I guess, understand, is that in order to get a job, for the most part, it's most of the time going to be through a network. You're going to need to know someone who has an in into a company. It's extremely challenging to get a job, especially in our market, right? You have people, 500, 600, 700 people applying for the exact same position. And you are one person, and there's only one applicant that's going to get selected for that. So your probability is extremely low. But if you have someone that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can say, hey, by any chance, can you get me a position with your company? You have a greater chance of getting a position with that company. Now, you're going to obviously need to do your OSINT. You're going to obviously need to connect with people. But you shouldn't be scared to ask questions to people. You should want to learn from people. You should want to network with people, right? So creating content will really help you. Now, I'm saying creating content from either a LinkedIn standpoint, a YouTube standpoint, Twitch standpoint, or a Discord standpoint, right? If someone has a question, don't just sit there and wait for someone else to reply. Go out and be the change, right? Go out and say, hey, yeah, here is your answer. Here's why it's the answer. If you need any other assistance, I can help you with that. On LinkedIn, comment on people's posts. It's that easy. You'll slowly gain traction. People would want to talk to you as long as you ask, right? If you just sit back and you just continuously read tweets on Twitter, no one's going to know who you are, right? But if you do want to go out, make a post, educate people, that will grow your network and you will be way more determined to continue A, on that network, and B, helping people learn, right? So with that being said, I do want everyone to have a few takeaways from this, right? Failure is your way to success, right? I've had a ton of failures. I know a lot of people have had a ton of failures, but at the end of the day, failures are your success. Once you fail, you'll know that you can't do that again, and then you can change your mindset up a little bit. Once you do that, you have a golden ticket to being successful. being creative. Always be creative. Try to think outside the box. What has someone not thought of that you can post about, right? What can you do differently? What makes you unique? Right? Do not be afraid to put yourself out there. I know people are very skeptical about, posting on social media, right? Imposter syndrome is a thing. I have imposter syndrome. Everyone has it. It's a known fact and it's scary. But as you start posting, you'll see that people aren't negative. Most of the time, people are actually positive and they're willing to help you with things. For instance, on my LinkedIn, whenever I post something, if I am not entirely sure, I'll put saying, hey, if anyone has any comments on this post, please let me know because I'm dying to hear from you. And people would start commenting. People would start saying, hey, yeah, by the way, I'm just letting you know, this technique actually works better, right? Also, just going out there and being yourself, thinking positively, right? As soon as you have that negative mindset, everything is off. Everything is off the table. There's no way you're going to rebound from it. So you need to be the inspiration that everyone wants. Last but not least is answering the question. So answering everyone's question is, how can you be unique? How can you be different? And that's to network with people, right? What I'd say is, when I say networking, I mean to go out to LinkedIn, talk to hiring managers, talk to HR, talk to CEOs, talk to CFOs, talk to any sort of chief officer at a company. Try to be someone who can reach out and say hello to. If you're friendly and you talk to people, they will have no problem helping you out. Join Discords, right? Raices is a great starting point. Make sure to go out and try to talk to people. If you have a question, ask it, right? Another Discord is, again, Republic of Hackers. Creating LinkedIn posts. I was afraid at one point. I'm not afraid anymore because at the end of the day, my post is my thought, right? So as long as you can get the mindset off of, hey, if I don't say something right, everyone's going to hate me. That's not true. If you say something wrong, someone will tell you and someone will teach you what the right path is so you don't make the same mistake. It's not that they're being negative toward you. It's that they're trying to teach you something. So what's stopping you from going out and creating a post right now? Again, commenting on people's posts is very important, right? Being able to grow your network is by commenting out. Once you comment on someone's post, not only will the author see your comment, but everyone who commented will also see your comment. And that's a great way to start building up a network, right? I'll give you an example. Just last week, I submitted something on someone's post. And within the next day, I had a few replies. And I had a few people messaging me saying thank you for, the pointer and stuff like that. Again, going out there and giving people some sort of education. Last but not least is building a blog. I'm not a fan of blogs. I know some people do enjoy blogs. I recommend, if you do build a blog, go to medium.com and make a site there, because that you'll get the most traffic out of, and people would most of the time look at that. If you build out your own custom domain, that's also super cool, but I don't think you're going to get the same amount of traction as you would with Medium. So again, just something to keep into consideration if you do want to build up a blog. But at the end of the day, again, I'm going to bring that question up to you one more time. What makes you different? And it's a great starting point. I want to hear you in the comments section on this Discord. I want to see some things that make you unique, right? I want you to go out there and start networking with people on this Discord. So what are you waiting for? Network with me on LinkedIn. So join my LinkedIn at Evan-Isaac and go to Republic of Hackers. That link is no longer accessible. That link has expired. But if you do want to join Republic of Hackers, I can definitely send you over a link. So that's all I have. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for the amazing talk. I've seen the chat that they're sharing a lot of LinkedIn's, so follow each other, follow Evan, follow myself. Drop those LinkedIn's on the introductions channel if you haven't. Meet people there. I've seen some people talk about. Parker, can you mute for a little bit? You're having some noise. Yeah, thank you. So I've seen some people talking about looking for mentors. I will say, we have a channel for students and interns. You don't have to be strictly a student. Post there that you want mentorship. Tanya recently asked for mentorship in the introductions channel, and she got help. So I encourage you to look at Tanya's post and to take inspiration and make one yourself to look for a mentor. And also, not this Tanya, but there's also Tanya Janka. She has purple on Twitter. She makes a post every Monday about where you can reply and tell everybody that you want mentorship on a specific thing. Probably you're gonna get one mentor there or one person trying to help you. And we also got Parker here today. His non-profit, or I don't remember if you are a non-profit already, but his organization also helps a lot of people get into the field. So I will highly recommend join Republic of Hackers, join Parker's Discord server, and so on, and talk a lot up here because we are willing to help. So I leave the floor open to everybody to ask questions. You can unmute yourself or type it on chat.
Yeah, if anyone is looking for a mentor, I'm open to having a few, probably 2. So if you do want to reach out, and you want to grow your network, or you want to, start off in offensive security or penetration testing, red teaming, whatever, make sure to reach out. Don't be afraid. I'm more than happy to talk to you one-on-one and go through some of the techniques that I used, hear your side of the story, and maybe try to work with you, to building you up as a better hacker. So, are there any additional questions?
I joined your Discord, by the way.
Thank you. I just built a website. Where can I go to get some advice on it? I mean, I was at one point a web developer, so if you want to send me over your website, I could take a look at it and, let you know. It's mainly, understanding how to design your website, right? So at least that's why I keep saying with blogs, right? If you use Medium, people are more likely to see it just because of the, SEOs and everything like that they have with Google. So when you first research a blog, for the most part, you'll see Medium or Stack Overflow, as one of your first searches. Another Discord, a good starting point for ethical hacking. Yep. So how I started out was not even doing any sort of try hack me, hack the box, TCM. It's mainly trying to learn the basics of Linux and networking first. If you want to go into ethical hacking, you need to know both Linux and networking. If you don't, you're really going to have a hard time. I know that TryHackMe now has some really good rooms on networking. For Linux, you can go onto Over the Wire Bandit Edition, and that will teach you the basics of Linux. Again, TryHackMe now has a fundamentals to Linux. I do recommend that. TCM course, Practical Ethical Hacker, is also relatively good. I do not recommend try hack the box to anyone, at least for a beginner's perspective, because when they say that a box is easy, it's never easy. So, I guess take that into consideration. But doing certs like the EJPT, PMPT, ECPBT, that kind of stuff, it'll definitely build your knowledge. So I highly recommend looking into, eLearn security certs. Yeah, if you want a challenge, let's say you're studying for EJPT, I do have a ton of articles, right, of EJPT. I have a ton of cheat sheets, on my LinkedIn, right? If you go onto my LinkedIn and you search up articles on my profile, you'll see currently my write-ups are EJPT and ECPPT write-ups. You can go through them. You'll see the Try Hack Me boxes that I used to pass those 2 certifications. Currently taking EWPTX. I'm hoping to have it done, and I'm hoping to have another article out within the next few weeks to a month. Hopefully I pass, that is. So yeah, just, I guess keep at it. Let's see.
Remember, don't be shy, you can talk too.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people typing. Let's wait a bit.
I thought I remembered Parker's name. Yeah, information security.
What kind of content do you think people favor? I'm running a cybersec club at my school, and I was looking for ideas to write about.
Yeah, so I was a vice president of my college cybersecurity club. So most of the time, people really enjoyed red teaming stuff, like the penetration testing side of things, learning Linux, that kind of stuff. People pretty much wanted to see not so much like SOC logs and stuff like that. We did build the Wazoo from scratch using Elastic and Wazoo. That was pretty cool, but it wasn't really anything special. No one really wanted to see that. Everyone wanted, they don't want to see syslogs, right? They want to see how can you attack, an environment, and then how can you see the SOC. So it's more of a purple team engagement that we did. I don't know how extensive your school is. It really depends on your equipment. If you want, you can definitely DM me, and you can give me more of an idea of what your club is, and I can kind of see what I could pull from my documents from when I was running my club.
Yeah, I would like to add that you have to gauge the interest on the community that you're building, because let's say Republic of Hackers, that community likes a lot red teaming. You're seeing people talking about red teaming all the time. You don't see a lot of blue teaming. However, here on Raices, people are more engaged and interested in blue team topics rather than red team engagements. Our red team events do have less attention than our blue team events. So it's all about gauging the interest and trying to figure out what people like in your community.
Definitely. As I'm messing with it, I want to learn about the tools and how to probably use terminal and whatnot. It seems fun. Yeah, Jake, it's definitely a learning curve. Kali Linux is not something that I recommend to especially beginners, just because there's a lot of tooling. There's a lot of stuff on Kali Linux, and it's also a Debian machine. I started out with Ubuntu, kind of getting an idea of what all the commands mean and that kind of stuff, so I wasn't overwhelmed with all the tooling. And once I was prepared for it, I installed Kali and started working with it. So, if it is overwhelming, I'd say maybe downgrade to Ubuntu for a little bit, get comfortable with Linux, and then after that, move on to Kali Linux. Is there more or less a roadmap of pen testing certs on where you should start? Yes. So I have created, again, on my LinkedIn, a roadmap, but I can do it here as well. So I recommend doing the EJPT. That's definitely a beginner cert. It's about 145 hours worth of content that is fairly up to date. I was a beta tester for INE, so I can speak first, I guess, saying that their content was very informative, but it could have probably had a bit more to it. There's no advanced techniques. I do understand EJPT is a very beginner cert, but maybe a little bit more regarding SQL map and how you can use it. They might have added that content in, but when I was doing it, they did not. The next thing that I would say is PMPT or ECPPT. Both are, I guess, equal. If you will. PMPT, I think, is a tad bit more difficult, but ECPBT really gives you the in-depth knowledge of how to pivot around a network, how to do buffer overflows, how to think outside the box, how to evade a little bit of, a firewall kind of thing. So definitely keep that into consideration. And then after you're done with, one of those, either look at the CPTS course, I think, from Hack the Box,
Yeah,
or
CPTS.
OSCP. OSCP is extremely expensive. I really hate OffSec for it, but their cert is still very much recognized. So you probably will have to get it at some point in time in your career if you do want to become a pen tester, just because, it looks really good, A, on your resume. B, if you do have a client, they do want to see that OSCP on your name tag. So, just something, again, to keep into consideration. I've had some things where, people want to see, the OSCP. Some people don't care. For me, I really don't care about OSCP. I don't care for it. I don't want it, but I need to get it because my job not only wants me to get it, I want to get it because it feels like an achievement, but I just don't want to give the money over to OffSec. So, so I would say EJPT to PMPT or ECPPT to CPTS or OSCP. I'd say that would be a great roadmap to start out. And, if you want more, there's plenty of other certifications to go. Regarding Discords, so I advocate a lot for Raices and Republic of Hackers. Those are my two main ones that I go on. I recommend the NomSec Discord as well. Those guys are fantastic when it comes to bug bounty hunting. If you want to learn something regarding web apps, definitely reach out to the NomSec Discord because I think that will be beneficial. The OffSec Discord is also relatively filled with knowledge. I don't go on it that much anymore, but when I was on it, they were definitely throwing out a lot of interesting techniques to use on the OSCP and OSWE exam. So definitely something to look into. Oh, what are others? Hack the Box and Try Hack Me, I would say, are the other two. Other than that, I don't really see, a whole lot of benefit with any of the other Discords so much. I've never been on Professor Messer, so I don't really know what content he produces on his Discord, but yeah. Let me quickly grab you the link for my LinkedIn. So it's kind of a hit or miss here with programming languages. So programming languages, I've never had to encounter building out my own sort of script. For the most part, when I do engagements, everything is either manual, or if I'm on an internal assessment, I try to social engineer someone to give me credentials. Most of the time, you're not really going to be using any of these crazy exploits from, Metasploit and stuff like that, just because A, they get detected by, most EDRs and Windows Defender. Plus, it's not great practice to just put a Metasploit, exploit onto a live environment. Very bad idea. So definitely keep that into consideration when you do start learning penetration testing, that these CTFs are not real world at all. That was definitely a huge hit for me when I first joined Echelon, was that I wanted to use Metasploit and I wasn't allowed to, and I had to think of different paths to exploit a specific machine. So definitely something to keep in consideration unless you get the approval by a higher up. Regarding programming though, I would say learn the basics of Python. Python is definitely good to know because most of the time people will use Python to build exploit scripts. And if, let's say, something doesn't work out, you can go back into the Python script, see what the problem is, fix it, and get it working. I've had to do that numerous amount of times on Try Hack Me and Hack the boxes. So definitely something to keep into consideration is definitely know at least the basics, but you don't need to go crazy advanced with it. How do I manage all the Discords? I don't.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. I rarely look at about half of the discords that I don't even remember half of them, to be honest. I'll go on to one and be like, what even is this? The main ones that I go on though are Republic of Hackers, Raices, Hunter.dev, and sometimes Try Hack Me or OffSec.
For context, I have like 8 folders of Discord servers divided by topic.
I'm not that crazy, but
exactly. It's hard sometimes, and you forget a lot. I only have the top folder is the one that has Raices and Republic of Hackers, and other servers I'm mod of. But everything below the first folder, I visit sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate one more time. If you do connect with me on my LinkedIn, once I accept you, feel free to DM me. Just let me know that you are from Raices. I'd love to have a further chat with you, just, about who you are and stuff like that, starting to build out your network. Any other additional questions?
Anthony was asking, like, the CTFs don't line up with how things are done in the real world industry, but they are promoted as experience. Why do you think that is?
So CTFs, so this is the differentiator between CTFs and the real world. CTFs build your methodology. They build your pen testing skills. They build your knowledge about different tools and techniques that you can use to exploit a specific thing. When it comes to CTFs, they just want you to find a CVE and they want you to exploit it. That doesn't happen in the real world. As a matter of fact, it almost never happens in the real world because most of these live environments, they're under a WAF, they are under EDR, they're under Windows Defender, and they update their systems for the most part, unless they're a hospital. If they're a hospital, all bets are off. You can do really whatever you want in a hospital environment, as long as you have permission, really, because they're the most insecure. But that being said, CTFs are just there to build your methodology. They aren't there to be used in the real world, right? If you see, let's say, a PS exec exploit on a real world environment, you're going to need to talk to your higher up to make sure A, it's in policy, B, it's in scope, and C, you're even allowed to use a Metasploit module, right, to exploit that. Luckily enough, I have, a boss who basically said, yeah, do it, but as soon as you do it, if something happens, something breaks, we have to message, the client immediately. So it's definitely something to keep in consideration is you want to build out your methodology, build your notes. I use Obsidian. I love Obsidian. I recommend everyone to use Obsidian. I know people hate Obsidian for whatever reason, but I do enjoy Obsidian. And it's just a markdown language converter where you can put in your notes. It'll be stored on your local system. And it's just a great thing to have. Definitely. The problem with Obsidian is I have no idea how to organize it properly. I've yet to figure that out. I have a ton of notes, but I have no idea where anything is. So that's my biggest problem. Yeah, between hospitals and universities, those are definitely vulnerable targets. But obviously, ethically, get permission, get a lawyer, make sure you're under contract and not doing something illegal, because you will get in some serious trouble if you do. So, huge disclaimer. Yep, I have I put all my Obsidian notes up on a private GitHub. It's free and it's relatively easy to do. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. So as long as we build a GitHub repository, just pull it down or clone it, and then all you got to do is just git add dot, git push, and then that's really it. That's all you got to do. Very simple. No problem. Take care.
You forgot to commit.
No, yeah, commit. Don't forget to commit. I used to
Because-
hate when I had to commit, and it's like you must put a description. I'm like, I just want you to commit. I'm trying to find the commit.
Yeah, maybe make an alias that does git add dot, then git commit and a message like update, and then push. Call it like Obsidian update or something, or OBS update, and that's it. Okay. Okay, seems like we don't have any more questions. Thank you again for everyone coming in. Thank you all for all the questions. And thanks, Evan, for the talk, the amazing talk that I hope you continue giving, not only here in Raices, but in other conferences as well.
Welcome.